Mr. Brewer, and today I'm going to show you how to do an image restoration. And this is a photo. This picture is down in our gym lobby. It's a picture of an old of a wrestler from back in the 70s, and over the years, the picture got really washed out from being in the sun. So a couple years ago, we restored this for our athletic department, and I'm just going to show you how we did that. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on Photoshop here, and in Photoshop, I'm going to go to my layers. Now, if you don't see that, you can go to Windows and click on Layers, and your Layers palette should pop up then. And when I do that, now should just be Review, but I'm going to click on my Adjustment Layers, and I'm going to click on Levels. So now I've just created a Levels layer, and I'm just going to close that for now. And I'm going to go back to my adjustment layer. I'm going to create a curves layer. And now I'm going to close that. Okay, so now I have these two adjustment layers. And I'm going to start with my levels. So I'm looking at the histogram here, and I see to the left, and even right in the middle, there's no information in that picture. And then just to the right, there's no information. So what I do to start is I just simply take the shadows and the highlights sliders, and I'm just going to drag the shadows first all the way over to where the information starts. You can see how that's starting to look a lot better already. And then I'm going to go to my highlights, and I'm going to drag that to where the information starts. Okay, and you can see it looks quite a bit better. But I can also start to see some of these scratches and smudges that I'm going to have to take care of. And now I'm going to close that layer. And I'm going to go to my curves. And curves is nice because I can anchor down certain areas. And I'm just going to play around with this. See, I have that spike over there, and I'm going to adjust that spike and maybe just brighten it up a little bit here. Drag this up and down and just see where that looks better. Okay, so now it's starting to look a little bit better already. Okay, so now I've adjusted the exposure. Now I can see some of these little scratches here that I'm going to take care of. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to go to my clone tool, which that's just Review. Now to do that, I have to make sure I'm clicked on my background layer. And now I'm going to come over here to my clone tool. And when I do that, all of my clone tool properties come up. And I'm going to adjust the hardness. I'm going to bring it all the way down, and that's going to give it a nice feathered edge. You can see here, this would be a harder brush type, and this would be a softer one. So that gives me a nicer feathered edge. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the size of the clone tool a little bit, because I'm going to come down here and get some of these little blotches here and here. So I don't need it to be too big. Okay, so I'm going to come down here. I'm going to hold Option, and it creates a little target. And I'm going to click in a good area of that mat. That's the old wrestling mat that he's standing on. And then I'm going to click and drag over top of the area that I want to take out. Okay, and I can come up here and do that to all these as well. But there's an easier way. I can come in here and hold Option, take out this scratch. I'm going to retarget that. Okay. Now there's an easier way to get these little speckles. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to my fly out here, right here. So you might see the patch tool, the healing brush tool. If you don't, I'm clicking and I'm holding that to access that fly out, that little arrow. Okay. So now I'm going to click on my spot healing brush tool. And again, I'm going to adjust the size of the brush a little bit. Now what I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to pick one area to target right here. Hold Option, click, and now click Continue on that. I'm just going to come around here and click and drag, and I don't have to keep retargeting. Just going to click and drag over top all these little spots. And that's a real quick, easy way. Okay, and again, I can retarget that, hold Option, click. Okay, and all this does is says Spot Healing Brush Tool automatically samples pixels to correct a spot with one step. Okay, you can say don't show me that again if you want. And again, I'm just going to come around here and see what I can get with this. Okay, now I'm going to take care of this little scratch up here with what's called the patch tool, and that's under the spot healing tool and the healing brush tool flyout. So that may already be showing, but I'm going to take this. Now what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to click and drag a circle around this little scratch. Okay, then what I'm going to do is just going to drag the circle to a good area, and that scratch is gone. And I can try to do the same thing with his hair, but what I'm going to do is I want to get in really close. Okay, and I'm going to try this with his hair, even though it's a little tougher because there's some detail in the hair. So I might have to use the... It doesn't look too bad. It's just a small spot. And then for that last little spot, I think I'm going to come back to my... I'm going to use with the healing brush tool. Okay, so that's similar. It's almost the same as the spot healer. I just got one little spot there. So that's a little bit easier to use. And then I'm going to use that spot healing brush up here too to get this little spot in his hair, and then retarget and get this little spot. Okay, and then you can go around with that spot healing brush tool again, and you can get as many of these little spots in here as you want. Click OK. Pretty good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this. Again, it's two things. I'm going to save it as, let's see, image restoration 1. And I'm going to save it as a PSD file, a Photoshop file first. I'm just going to save it to my desktop for now. Now it's done. File, save as. I'm going to choose JPEG, and this is what you would submit. Drag this down to less than 1 megabyte. Probably going to go up to right around here. That's just under 1 megabyte. And I have that. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how to make a side-by-side comparison so that you can put the two side by side and compare what you did. Thanks for watching.